Welcome everyone. My name is Gayle, and this practice we're going to work on stretching and strengthening. So we really need a balance of being strong and being flexible, because one without the other just leads to problems and we can't really do as much. So if we're so strong that we shorten all our muscles and stiffen up, and we're so bulky we can hardly move, what's the purpose of that? And if we're so flexible that we can just move in any direction but without any stability, then we just actually put unnecessary pressure on our joints, and that can lead to a lot of problems as well. So we're going to focus on building strength and stability and having fun while we do it. So let's start on our backs. Hug your knees into your chest and just rock around, little circles on your hips in both directions. Release your feet to the floor and rest your hands on your belly. And just take a moment to center yourself and focus on your breath. So as you inhale, feel your belly lift, but also at the same time, can you feel your ribs pressing into the floor, your back ribs? As you exhale, just let everything soften. With every inhale, you want to feel like your body's expanding in 360 degrees, all directions. It's subtle, but it's very powerful. However, I think this is something we need to practice, because oftentimes life is difficult and there's a lot of tension, and we kind of only half breathe. And even sometimes when we're really concentrating, we might even stop our breathing. So it's really important to breathe in and out through the nose in a nice, soft, full way that lengthens out the breath, so that we end up breathing less breaths per minute and slowing our breath down and having like a full, powerful, strong breath. So now, rest your arms by your sides and lift and spread your toes. See if you can feel space between your toes. Notice how that energizes your legs. See if you can keep that energy in your legs, but relax your toes down and press into the earth so that your hips rise up. On an exhale, start to lower down one vertebrae at a time from the top of your back down to your hips. And then let the hips settle. On your next inhale, press into the ground, lift your hips up. Engage your thighs so they don't flap open, but they stay parallel to each other. Maybe you lift a little higher this time, and notice how your glutes fire up. And slowly start to lower down, trying to round your lower back so that the hips come down last. We'll do this a couple more times. So just experimenting, exploring, noticing how this feels for you. And it's like practicing the art of effort and surrender. So the inhale, take some effort to press down and lift up, and maybe lift up even higher. And the exhale is a letting go, where we soften and just let gravity help our backs come down. Now, hold your hands behind your legs, and you can use a little momentum, and we're going to rock forward and back. So try and keep your chin tucked, and you can start off by letting your feet touch the floor. Some of you might even be able to tap the floor with your toes behind you. And then see if you can find a balance. So you stop yourself, and you can keep holding on to the back of your legs with your knees bent, or you could release your arms, or you could straighten your legs with your hands behind your legs or with your arms forward. And you can even use your hands behind your back. So let's roll back and forth a couple more times, finding, kind of stopping. So stopping the momentum, having that kind of control, so that we can like change the speed of what we're doing. And this is also kind of good fun core work. Okay, so last time, and this time, we're gonna roll up and make our way into tabletop. So something I do every time I practice, every time I get on the mat, and make sure I do every day, is to move my spine. So just start to, you can close your eyes and start to move your back, your body in all different directions. Let your breath move freely as your spine moves freely. And come back to neutral position, and we'll do some cat-cows. So as you inhale, stretch your heart forward, your tailbone up, and your head up. And as you exhale, pull your belly to your spine, rounding your spine, letting your head lower down. And just keep repeating that motion. Just noticing how it feels and noticing if it starts to get a little smoother as you move through this. You can even add a little bit by, as you inhale, isometrically drag your hands toward your knees and pull your shoulders back. And as you exhale, isometrically push your hands forward. So isometric just means to bring the action of movement in without actually moving. So you're pressing into resistance, and that helps you go a little bit further without, with a little bit more effort, but it actually feels really good. So now tuck your toes, send your hips back to your heels, and then pick your knees up and make your way into downward facing dog. Begin to bend one knee at a time, stretching out through the opposite heel. And you can make your down dog longer or shorter. Like, we don't want to have our down dog too short. We don't want to have it too long. Just something in between. And then stretch back through both heels. Grip with your hands so you're hugging inward. And step your left foot in a little bit, forward a little bit, and reach your right leg up. Stretch back through your toes. And then hug your knee into your chest and see if you can tap your knee above your elbow. Aim for above your elbow. If you don't make it, no worries. So really squeezing our knee in towards our chest, pushing down into the hand, and just making a nice, smooth forward and back movement. Good, one more time. Reach back, hug in, and back to down dog splits. Stack your hips, bend your knee, reach your knee behind you, and come back to your downward facing dog. You can always take a break if you need to. If this is, actually, let's take a break. Let's do this together. So we didn't really stretch out our wrists yet, so rotate your fingers towards your knees or out to the side. If your fingers are pointing out to the side, rock from side to side. So we're just working on warming up the wrists. And if your fingers are pointing towards your knees, rock forward and back. This is also something I do every day. And then you can start to sit back onto your heels and slowly peel your hands away from the floor. And we're going to stretch also the top of our wrists. So there's a couple different ways to do it. One way is to make fists with your hands. Lower the whole top of your hand to the floor with your elbows bent. And as you straighten your arms, you push down, try and keep your fingers curled in. And that will really stretch out the top of the wrist. And when you bend the elbows, you release the stretch. Now another way to do it is to face your palms upward with your fingers spread apart and do that same rocking back and forth motion, but you'll notice there's not as much movement when your hands are in this position. So either way, is good for you. Just, you know, try both and see what works for you, and then just shake your hands out. So tuck your toes and work towards sitting back on your heels. You can always lean forward a little bit. You don't want to, you know, stretch out the sole of your foot so much in your toes that it's excruciating. But just like try and find a position where you feel a nice stretch, but it doesn't feel overdone. And if you've injured your big toe like I have, you have to be kind of careful around that. So you can also just kind of go in and out. And notice if your weight is shifting to the outside of your foot or to the inside, or if one foot feels different than the other. And now point your toes, sit back on your heels, bring your hands back, and lift your knees up. Maybe you can even find a little balance here. Good. And now let's come back into our down dog. And we'll do those, you know, hugging the knees in on the left side. So step your right foot in a little bit, reach your left leg up. Pull your knee into your chest and try and keep your knee high as you touch your arm. And stretch back. We'll do 5 of these. We'll do 4 more. Yeah, it's 4. It really takes a lot of effort to push into the ground so that you keep that height. 3, 2 more. You got this. Ooh. Aim high, aim high. Last one. Good, and stretch back. Oh, down dog splits. Stack your hips, bend your knee, reach back. And lower your leg back down to the ground. Again, take time in your down dog to kind of pedal your way or walk back and forth. Just getting nice long stretch through your arms, through your shoulders, through your back, through your legs. And look towards your hands and walk your feet forward. Coming into a standing forward fold. Press into the earth, rise all the way up. And on an exhale, bring your hands together in front of your heart. Just take a moment to pause and ground. Notice how you feel. On your next inhale, sweep your arms toward the sky. And on your exhale, bow forward, touch the earth. Step back into plank. Keep a strong lift through your ribs, and you can lower your knees to the floor or keep them lifted. But bend your elbows behind you and slowly lower down with a flat back. Point your toes, curl up into your cobra. And on an exhale, shift your hips back into child's pose. We'll just relax here for a few breaths. On your next inhale, round forward. And on your exhale, glide back. And again, just get this movement going. You can vary the pace. You know, you can kind of roll back and forth in a couple of spots. And just think that you want to really be smooth and open. And rest in child's pose one more time. And come on up into tabletop, and we're going to practice what I call is half moons while you're kneeling. That'll help to prepare us for a standing half moon. So there's lots of different ways you can position your leg, that's your supporting leg. So I'm just lifting my left leg to show you my right leg. So I can either point my toes with my toes in line with my knee, or I can tuck my toes with my toes in line with my knee, or I could bring my foot out to the side for a little kickstand, pointing or tucking the toes. So I'm going to point my toes. I think it's the most challenging version, with my foot lined up with my knee. And then from there, I'm going to lift up my left leg. Try and stack your hips and keep this leg nice and strong, but not reaching behind you, reaching right out from your hip. And reach your arm up. So this would be half moon if we were standing on our right foot instead of on our right knee and our shin. Now reach your toes toward the floor as you lift your ribs up and stretch your top arm toward the floor. And lift up again, coming back into that half moon shape. And bring your leg back down. Lift your right leg up, down dog splits, and step it all the way forward. And we're going to come right into half moon standing after we practiced it kneeling. So if you have a block handy, this can be really nice to kind of raise the floor up a little bit, makes it a little easier to do half moon, or you could bring your hands to the floor. So stack your left hip on top of your right hip, firm up your right glute, and continue to open up through the shoulders. Keep your core engaged, and then reach your arm up toward the sky, trying to line up your top arm with your bottom arm, and maybe even gaze up. So where you gaze really changes the difficulty of the pose. And now, if you want to play with something a little bit extra, see if you can firm up your legs and maybe bring your bottom hand off the floor and balance in with your arms in prayer position. And release your hands down, step back, and back to downward facing dog. We'll do that on the other side. So I'm just going to turn around so I can face the camera. But we're going to be balancing on our left leg this time. So position your foot however you want to, with your foot lined up with your knee or out to the side. Stretch your right leg back. You want this left hand to be off to the side a little bit. Otherwise it'll be way too hard to balance, I think. And pick your right leg up and your right arm up. Find your half moon. Really make this top leg strong. And remember, don't bring it behind you to lift it, but just lift it up from your hip joint. And then lower your toes, reach your arm over, big lift up. So we'll do 3 of these. Just coming into our half moon shape and lowering down, last one. And then we'll do 3 where we're touching our elbow to our knee. So lift up, bring your elbow to your knee, come back to your half moon shape, and lower down. 2 more times. Lift up, elbow to knee, reach your arm up and your leg back, and stretch, and come on back up, elbow to knee, back to your half moon, stretch, lower your hand down, shift your hips back and reach your left leg up into down dog splits, and step your left knee forward. And right away start coming into your half moon. So this requires a lot of engagement of your glutes, of your core. Keep that top leg really high and really strong. Maybe gaze up at your fingers. And then it's too hard for me to gaze up and do the hands in prayer position, but take it slowly. Don't just whip your hand up. Really engage through your leg, engage through your core. And then see if you can bring your bottom hand up into a prayer position. Try and hold it. A lot of being able to do this relies on the top leg being strong, as well as your glutes. Good, then lower your hands down. Step back to your down dog. Look towards your hands, bend your knees, and either step forward or hop forward. Spread, lift and spread all 10 toes, and sprinkle them back to the floor. Rise all the way up. And exhale, hands to your heart. On your next inhale, sweep your arms up. And on your exhale, forward fold. Place your hands down, step back into plank. Knees can be lifted or lowered, lower all the way down. Keeping the shoulders lifted. Inhale, curl up into your cobra. Exhale, lower, tuck your toes. Press back to downward facing dog. Inhale, sweep your left leg up. Reach long behind you and then hug your knee into your chest. Step your foot all the way forward. Keep the back heel lifted. Rise up, crescent lunge. Open up through your heart. Then interlace your hands behind your back. Reach down with your hand and up with your hands. up and back. Let your chest lift up like a cobra chest. Now try and keep your shoulders just where they are and just move your arms into your crescent lunge. And then take this and shift your weight forward, pressing off your back foot. You can keep your arms forward or you can reach them behind you. Keep the top leg really strong for warrior 3. And lightly step back, open up, warrior 2. And just take a moment to, you can adjust your feet, find your length in warrior 2, and reach your arms up and back. Come back through warrior 2, straighten the front leg, and switch the direction of your feet, the direction of your warrior. Again, reach up and back, reverse your warrior, and switch direction again. Reach up and back, reverse your warrior, straighten your front leg, and come on forward into triangle pose. Gazing up at your fingers. And look down, bend your front knee, come back up through warrior 2, reach back, reverse your warrior, and windmill the arms. Step back into your downward facing dog. On your next inhale, sweep your right leg up. Step your foot all the way forward. Rise up, crescent lunge. Open up through your heart. Find that willingness to be open, to explore, to be vulnerable. Bring your hands behind your back. Interlace your fingers so the opposite pinky is on the outside, which will probably feel weird. Then reach your hands down and up away from your back, lifting up through your heart. Keep your shoulders where they are and reach your arms up. And start to shift your weight forward, coming into warrior 3. Float the back leg up. Lift up through the inner thigh of the top leg. Keep the shoulders lifted, keep the back leg strong. And slowly reach back, open up into warrior 2. Again, take a moment to adjust your stance. Reach up and back, reverse your warrior. And come back through warrior 2. Switch sides. Inhale, reach up and back. Exhale, back to warrior 2. Switch. One more time, reach up and back. And windmill the arms. Step back into your down dog. Bend your knees and hop forward to your hands, hopper step. Press into the earth, rise all the way up. And exhale, hands to your heart. Again, pause, feel your breath. Find that sense of power and surrender. Release your hands, and we are going to play with tree pose into half moon, back into a warrior, okay? So let's see, I'm gonna demo facing forward. So strongly engage through your right leg, squeeze that glute into the midline. So create your stance, your stand, your power. Pick your left knee up, externally rotate at your foot, at your hip, sorry, bringing your foot to your inner thigh. And then see if you can get tall, like really, really, really tall. So you're pressing down through your foot, you're lifting up through your heart, through your hands, to the crown of your head. And then we're just gonna release our knee and start to lower your right hand to the floor or a block. Stack your left hip over your right hip, stack your left shoulder. Maybe gaze up. And again, get really strong here. The stronger you can keep the top leg, and the more you can keep weight into the heel of your front foot, it's easier to balance. And then for me to bring my hands in prayer position, I'm gonna look down, bring the bottom hand up, And lower hands down, step back into down dog splits. And lower your foot down. Bend your knees and hopper step forward. Rise all the way up to stand. Exhale, hands to your heart. So now we're going to do all that on the other side with the left leg supporting us. So engage your left glute, press into the tripod of your foot, onto the big toe, pinky toe, center of your heel. Lift your right knee up, place your foot on your inner thigh. Hug your foot into your leg and your leg into your foot, and reach up tall. Find your steadiness with your breath. Now we're going to just start to bring our left hand down to the floor or a block. Stack your right hip on top of the left hip, strong top leg. Stack your right shoulder on top of the left shoulder, reach your arm up, maybe reach your gaze up. Keep this top leg strong. And then if you want to try that prayer position with your hands, first take your time to find your steadiness. And then maybe try bringing your hand up. See if you can hold here. Good, release your hands down. Step back into down dog splits. And back into downward facing dog. Good, lower your knees to the floor. Sit back on your heels. And bring your hands behind you and lift your hips forward as you reach your left arm over to the right. And bring your left arm back and around. Reach your hips up. Reach your right arm over to the left. Really pressing forward through those hips. This is great for your hip flexors and for your back. We'll do that 2 more times each side. So lift up and open. And switch sides. 1 more time. And last time. Last side. Good. Lower your hands down, tuck your toes, and pick your knees up, coming into a squat. So your heels may not be on the floor. That's okay. Just try and do the best you can. And with practice, eventually you may be able to get your heels to the floor. Or for some people, because of their hip shape, it may never happen. So we just have to do the best we can, accept, be happy with what we can do, accept what we can't do. And lower your hips to the floor. Come onto your back again. Hug your knees into your chest. And then just bring your legs into a 90 degree position. Try and flatten your low back to the floor. And try and keep this 90 degree position in your legs with your arms stretched out to the side, and twist your legs over to the right. See if you can bring your legs all the way down. You can turn your head to the left. So you're twisting your upper body in the opposite direction of your lower body. And see if you can relax here. You can always put something underneath your legs if this twist is too much for you. So you could put a blanket or a pillow or yoga bolster or yoga block. You could also place something between your knees as well. That'll help take some of the twist out of this. Otherwise, just enjoy where you are. Let everything relax. Focus on your exhales and letting go. Now pull this left hip back to the floor to come back up to center and twist over to the left. Turn your head to the right. And notice how this side feels. Just let everything relax and let go. And bring your right hip back down. And separate your knees. Bring your feet up for happy baby. Now, if you can easily reach your feet, hold your feet. If not, you can hold any place further up your leg, closer to the floor. And just gently rock from side to side. Let's release your legs, your feet. Lower your feet down nice and wide as the mat. Arms out to the side. And we're just gonna twist our knees over to the right, really stretching out through the top left leg. And twist over to the left, stretching out through the top right leg. And just go back and forth. And if you pause a little bit, you can get an extra little bit of quad stretch. If you really reach your knee away from your hip and kind of pull your hip away from your knee. And switch sides again. Good, come back to center. Give yourself a squeeze, a big bear hug, like you did this. You challenged yourself. You played with a lot of half moons, and you should feel really good. Whether you fell or not, or just like trying, and maybe with practice you get like better and better and feel more kind of soft and floaty, but with the power and the strength behind that. So now just stretch out for Savasana. And let everything relax. Just let go. And stay with your breath. And especially in the beginning of your Savasana, focus on your exhales and letting go. I'm going to stay here with you for about a minute. You're welcome to stay in Savasana longer. The Savasana is just as important as any of the other poses that we did today, or any other pose that you could do. And for some people, it's the most challenging because we want to go, 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 do, 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 do. And Savasana is just about lying down, being with yourself, surrendering. You can stay here longer, or if you're ready to come out, you can bend your knees, gently roll to your side, and just pause for a moment to enjoy the effects of this practice. And when you come up to seated, come up slowly using your hands to press your way up. Thank you so much for joining me in this practice today. I really appreciate your time and your willingness to try different things, to challenge yourself. Please subscribe if you haven't already, hit the notification bell, tell your friends, and leave me a comment. I would really love to hear from you. So hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.